Welcome to Global Mind Talks. Let's explore the ideas and insights that shape better lives together.
All right, so get ready, folks, for a deep dive into, all things country.
Centuries, yeah.
We're going to be exploring all these fascinating facts and stories about countries all around the world.
All over the globe, yeah.
And for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at two videos from the YouTube channel Nerd Robot. They're called Countries Explained, Part 1 and Part 2.
And I think what's really interesting about these videos is that they go beyond just those, those typical facts and figures, We're going to be
Yeah.
exploring all those, which country is the oldest or which country has the most people or the happiest people.
All right.
But we're also going to be looking at, the stories behind those facts. What are the historical, economic, cultural factors that have shaped these nations into what they are today?
Yeah, exactly. Why is a certain country the happiest? What makes them, tick?
Exactly.
So you ready to kind of kick this off?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with some of the most obvious things about countries.
Okay.
Their size. And when it comes to size, Russia, well, they're like the undisputed champion.
Oh, yeah. The largest country in the world by area.
Right. Massive.
Huge.
Absolutely sprawling.
But then you've got on the complete other end of the spectrum, you've got Vatican City, which is tiny.
I mean, you could practically walk across the whole country in an afternoon, you know?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And then there's population, right? And we all know that China, they have a truly mind-boggling number of people.
Yeah, over 1.4 billion. It's hard to even wrap your head around a number that big.
It is. It's massive. And it's fascinating to think about how, countries like China and Russia, how they compare to, some of the smaller, less-known countries out there.
Oh, absolutely. One of the videos mentioned Tuvalu, this tiny island nation in the Pacific.
Oh, right, yeah.
And their GDP, their entire GDP is only 47 million US dollars.
That's less than some big companies make in a year,
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
It does. And then, you've got countries like Luxembourg, which has this incredibly high GDP per capita.
Right, over 115,000 US dollars.
But, that's just one way to measure a country's success.
Yeah, for sure.
What about things like happiness or life expectancy?
Exactly. Those are super important too.
Absolutely. And those numbers can tell a completely different story. For example, Hong Kong has the highest life expectancy in the world.
Yeah, people there are living longer than almost anywhere else.
Yeah, but then you look at the Central African Republic, and their average lifespan is much, much shorter.
It's kind of heartbreaking to think about that disparity.
It really is. And then you have, Finland, which is always at the top of those happiness rankings.
The happiest folks in the world, apparently.
But then, you have Afghanistan, which is at the very bottom of that list.
And it makes you wonder, what are the factors that contribute to a nation's overall well-being?
Exactly. Is it just about economics, or are there other things at play?
Right. And what's interesting is that sometimes those economic factors and those, happiness or well-being factors, they don't always line up.
You don't. One of the examples that really surprised me was Turkmenistan.
Turkmenistan, yeah.
They have the lowest stress levels globally. Only 10% of their population reports feeling stressed.
Wow. That's incredible.
It is. And they're not necessarily known for being an economic powerhouse or anything.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, what's their secret?
Yeah, what are they doing over there?
What are they doing? Maybe it's something about their culture or their lifestyle or something,
Right. But then on the flip side, you've got Greece, which is often associated with this relaxed, idyllic island life, right?
Yeah, beautiful beaches, sunshine.
Exactly. But they have this surprisingly high stress level. 59% of the population reported feeling stressed.
I know, it's so unexpected.
It is. It really is. So
Yeah.
it just goes to show that, you can't always judge a book by its cover.
You can't. And these numbers can sometimes challenge our preconceived notions about different countries.
They really do. Okay, so we've talked about size, economics, well-being. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about global dynamics,
Okay.
like invasions, for example.
Invasion.
Yeah. Did you know that India holds the record for the most invaded country in history?
No way, really?
Yeah, over 200 recorded invasions.
Wow, that's a lot of invasions.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And then if you look at who's been doing the invading, well, it turns out that the UK has historically been the most frequent invader.
Really?
Yeah, they've conquered over 178 countries throughout history.
Wow, that's kind of a sobering thought.
It is. It really makes you think about the lasting impacts of colonialism and how power dynamics have shaped our world.
Yeah, it's definitely a complex and often a dark part of history.
It is. But, let's move on to some lighter stuff. Each country also has its own unique quirks and specialties, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, for example, Albania has the most bunkers per capita.
Bunkers.
Bunkers, yeah.
Like underground shelters.
Exactly. They've got bunkers everywhere, like tucked into hillsides, under buildings, you name it. They're like super prepared for anything.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It is. And then you've got Kazakhstan, which is the largest uranium producer in the world.
Uranium, wow.
Yeah. And on a more positive note, South Korea is considered the most innovative country.
Oh yeah, they're always pushing the boundaries of technology and design.
They are. And Suriname boasts the highest percentage of forest area.
So it's like super green, lush rainforest country.
Exactly. And speaking of unique characteristics, did you know that Singapore has the lowest birth rate in the world?
Really? The lowest birth rate?
Yeah, which is kind of interesting considering that a lot of other countries are facing like rapid population growth.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder what factors are contributing to that low birth rate in Singapore.
Yeah, me too. It could be things like the high cost of living, access to education and family planning resources, maybe even cultural shifts in attitudes towards family size.
Right, right. It's probably a combination of all those things.
Yeah, for sure. And then on a more, I guess, serious note, Venezuela has the highest crime rate in the world,
Oh, wow.
while Qatar has the lowest.
That's a big difference.
It is. And again, it makes you think about the factors that contribute to those kinds of statistics.
Yeah, poverty, inequality, law enforcement policies, all those things probably play a role.
For sure. Okay, now back to some fun facts. Brazil is the largest exporter of footballers.
Footballers, so soccer players.
Yep, soccer players. And Denmark is recognized as the least corrupt country in the world.
Oh, wow, that's impressive.
It is. And then we have Israel, which is the most militarized nation, while North Korea faces significant challenges with the lowest level of economic freedom.
It's amazing how much variety there is in the world, isn't it?
It really is. From economic giants to cultural trendsetters, every country has its own unique story to tell.
And I think it's important to remember that, all these individual countries, they all contribute to the bigger picture, to this incredibly complex and fascinating world that we live in.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you continue to explore and learn about different countries, think about how all these facts and stories, how they all fit together.
Exactly. How they shape our understanding of different cultures, the challenges that we face as a global community, and ultimately the future of our planet.
Yeah, well said. It's a lot to think about, but it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely.
That's it for today's chat. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to follow Unlimited Talk so you won't miss the next episodes. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment rate, and share it with your friends. Got questions or feedback? Drop us an email at the address in the description or reach out through our social media channels.